If you sell on Amazon and still apply the same PPC strategies to your products, you're making a mistake. Today, I'm going to go over different lifecycle stages of products on Amazon and uncover which PPC strategies you should use to win on every step of the way. Let's get started. Everything starts with the launch. A lot of sellers, when they launch a new brand, a new product, start to freak out about high ACoS and low conversion rate. But actually, it's okay. When you only launch a product that doesn't have any sales, any social proof, so that's normal for the conversion rates to be lower, even for well-optimized listing, and same about ACoS. During the launch, there are three important objectives that you need to keep in mind for your PPC campaigns. And the first objective is to drive traffic to the listing. Your listing is absolutely new. There is no sales, no organic ranking, no social proof. PPC will act like a fire starter and will start drive initial traffic to the listing and drive it higher in the organic chain. The second objective is to do the data harvesting. When you don't have any data, you don't know which search terms, which keywords work better for your product. So you need to do the data harvesting. You should launch automatic campaigns and manual campaigns and make sure that you review the data on a regular basis and understand what starts clicking for your product and what doesn't. And finally, in some cases, PPC can act like a ranking machine for a new product. If you have a well-optimized listing and a very strong and competitive offer, you can actually start being in the top 10 right from the start. It doesn't apply to many sellers, but for some, initial PPC for the new product is actually the ranking mechanism. Initial plateau is the next stage where some sellers stuck. You can imagine it like this. Your product starts to pick up a little bit. You gain ranking, you gain sales, PPC and organic sales start to grow. The conversion rate also bumps, but then you start to see the stagnation. This is where the initial plateau happens. And what is really, really important to do when the initial plateau happens is the following. So first of all, you need to cut the wasted spend. If you run a lot of different campaigns right from the launch, it's great. But right now, you need to start reviewing your campaign's performance, search term performance, bids, keywords, budgets, much more closely to understand which search term you want to keep and which search term you don't want to keep. You need to have at this point already a strong optimization system for your account, right? Bids, budgets, negative keyword, search terms, keywords, their status. It should be managed on a regular basis, weekly, bi-weekly, daily, bi-daily, monthly. It's up to you. It's up to your product, but optimization systems have to be strong. You need to promote your winning search terms all the time, right? You need to review your search term reports on a regular basis. You need to find the search terms that work better for your product than others and start isolating them into a single keyword campaigns. Finally, it's really important to start looking into your best placements, right? If you have a well-performing auto campaign, a well-performing beta campaign, you should not only optimize the search terms and keywords and bids within those campaigns, but also you need to look at the placements. Finally, during the initial plateau stage, we always talk to sellers about how they should reassess and redefining, improving and adjusting their listings, which will essentially drive the increase in conversion rate, which will essentially drive you to the growth stage. The growth stage is the next on this list. I would say this is one of the most exciting stages during the journey, the life cycle journey of the product. And when we talk about growth, we most likely see high conversions, high sales, high rankings, and good amount of social proof, meaning reviews. What's really important to do during the growth stage is to focus on your best performing segments. You can do it by doing proper isolation, so single keyword campaigns, dedicated portfolios. Maximize your isolation as much as possible. Maximize your placements. At this point, you should already know which placement converts better for your product and in which campaigns, and you should be always on the adjustment side for the higher conversion rates and higher PPC sales for your best performing campaigns. Start utilizing dynamic bidding. See if up and down bidding is going to be driving more PPC sales and high conversion rates than down only, or fixed versus down only. So run multiple different tests. And you can also utilize multiple different bidding and budgeting rule depending on which campaigns perform better for which product during which time of the day. When we talk about the other opportunities for the PPC, it's definitely expanding the ad types. We need to maximize visibility, and we can do that with multiple different things. It could be sponsored brands, sponsored brand headline, video ads on sponsored brands and sponsored display contextual targeting, and sponsored display retargeting. So all of these ad types are very valuable. They're different from sponsored products. They drive less ranking. They're less important in the big scheme of things driving PPC sales. But when you're already in the growth stage, you need to be looking into additional opportunities to increase your market share, to increase your visibility. And sponsored brands and sponsored display come very, very handy during this growth stage. Finally, we always talk about how important it is to systemize your product targeting. Product targeting usually a little bit differently from the keyword targeting, because you don't have organic ranking for the product targeting ASINs, but still, it's very important to understand your competition correctly, right? You need to be breaking down your competition into different groups. Like the simplest one would be cheap, expensive, brand name, and complementary products, for example. And when you think about your competitors like this, you can structure your PPC campaigns to mirror your perception of competitors, and then you can maximize your PPC sales and your visibility on the product detail pages of your competitors. Prime stage is the next stage. Prime stage is the maturity. It's when you have highest conversion rates, highest organic sales, highest PPC profits, and all the metrics are looking the best. It's really important to keep an eye on your wasted spend and on your profits overall on the PPC side. We really try to make sure during the maturity stage, that we are no longer extremely aggressive with our tests. We are no longer going after market share when we know it's very expensive, right? We already know very well which keywords convert well for us and where we ranked well versus the keywords where the opportunity is not as high. So our PPC spend can be dialed in for the maximum profitability, at least in our core sponsored products campaigns. That's for sure. Second thing that's important to do during the prime stage is actually to double check the defensive campaigns. The defensive campaigns should be already set up even during your initial plateau, but when you are on your prime, you should maximize your presence in the defensive strategy. You need to run ASIN targeting campaign where you can cross-target other products in your catalog. You need to run your brand name campaigns for the sponsored products, sponsor brands, sponsor brand video. Utilize the whole toolbox that's available with different match types and different campaign types. And definitely sponsor brands and sponsor display expansion, right? I can see there is so much more real estate on the listings nowadays on Amazon, and a lot of those are not sponsored products anymore. When you have reached prime, when you have reached maturity, it means that you have biggest or one of the biggest market shares. You don't want your audience, you don't want your regular and loyal customers to start looking other directions. This is why development of a very strong retargeting strategy is good. You can start with sponsored display tools that are available in the audience retargeting, in the campaign manager. Whenever those campaigns start to show any feasible results, like the growth in brand searches, the improvement in retargeting sales, and so on, you can think about going deeper and starting to test strategies like DSP and even more sophisticated ones. The decline is definitely a sad part of this journey, because this is when you understand your product is not that competitive anymore. The competitors, the new competitors, the old competitors, everyone becomes stronger. Prices might be going down. There is a whole list of things why the decline might happen. Usually it's competition, demand, or the market, but it happens. So when it happens, we have to act very fast. So the first thing that's important to do during the decline on the PPC side is to start cutting your campaigns. It's really important to look at the performance of your premium keywords, the keywords that used to drive most of the sales in the past, and understand when the decline happens, you should start adjusting your bidding, adjusting your placement, and adjusting your budgets, right? This is very important. You need to monitor and adjust your campaigns over time, understanding that decline is here and it happens. You need to preserve profitability. If we were talking about profitability during prime stage, it's 3x more important to preserve profits now, right? Finally, it's very important to start implementing proper budgeting with spend caps, portfolio caps, tight daily budgets for each campaigns, and more rigorous review of the campaign performance to understand where the dollar should go and where the dollar should not go anymore. Okay, guys, right now it's time to recap everything. We talked about 4 different stages of the product. We started with launch, where it's very important to maximize visibility. Then some people will move on to the initial plateau, where you need to focus on cutting your wasted spend and pushing higher on conversion rate on the PPC sales. The next stage, luckily, hopefully for sellers, will be growth. It will be where you need to scale smart. You need to maximize your ad expansion, ad isolation, and keep pushing your winners. During the prime stage, you will be protecting your market share and already maximizing your profits. And the decline is where you just need to make sure that you're maximizing your profitability until the end of the life cycle of the product. Okay, guys, if you like this video, if you found it valuable, put a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which part was your favorite.